we had the area manager for one of the insurers, Canada Guarantee, and he was actually saying that in Ottawa, this is just in Ottawa, the number of homes sold in Ottawa, the percentage point, it was 20 to 22% of all homes in Ottawa have been over $1 million this year.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Hello and welcome back to Toe Rep, the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. We're here. We're back.
We're back.
What's shaking?
I am Paul Stevenson. I host the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with Greg Campbell and David Warren. We're into real estate. I'm going to lead in like that.
And I'm laughing. And I'm laughing as usual.
As always. I'm one of the owners of Referral Mortgages, also a mortgage agent. David Warren is my partner, also a owner at Referral Mortgages and a mortgage agent. And Greg Campbell, realtor extraordinaire and managing director at the agency Ottawa. Gentlemen, how was the weekend? How is the week looking?
Weekend was good. Dave just looked like, yeah. I think we both had the same kind of weekend. Good weekend. Lots of action. Lots of non-action as well. Mother's Day was nice. Spent some time with the fam. But yeah, I don't know. Dave, how was yours?
Great weekend. Friday, we had a professional development day for our agents in Ottawa at Referral Mortgages. So we had about 40 roughly of our agents out at the Brook Street for a great day of learning, some good speakers, some lender partners out to for a cocktail hour afterwards. That was great. And then opening weekend at the cottage, guys, for Kentucky Derby, and then Mother's Day yesterday. So it was a busy full weekend.
And Paul, you were part of that weekend too, I imagine.
Derby Day. Never miss it.
Derby Day. Derby Day.
Right. Yeah, no, it was good. Mother's Day. Went to see my mom yesterday. Shout out to all the mothers out there. I know there's a lot of new ones in our circle too. And Greg, I know you have a beautiful wife, 2 girls. So lots of
happy mothers,
important mothers around our lives.
Very important.
Deserve shout outs.
So shall we get into some real estate?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're here for.
Toe Rep.
So the week, Dave mentioned we had our professional development day. We had some really good speakers in there. One of which was one of our agents is actually a CFA and kind of financial planner. He was going over the rates as far as what's being projected as far as the bonds, and just explaining kind of the difference between what moves each one, which I know we've talked about on the show many times. But lots of talk still about rates, increasing rates, alternative lenders and what's available to people if their finances are pinched and tighter situations and so on. So at some point we should put together maybe a list of different alternative lenders and what that looks like as far as, I think, we deal with obviously a multitude of lenders, but I think most people still think, and we talked about this recently, I think about the AAA, thinking that they have to try to get to that point where they're like, oh, well, I need a salaried income to buy a house and I need, 20% down. And like, you don't, in a lot of cases, you just need to know your finances, and there is a solution out there. So I found it interesting, especially for some of our newer agents, to kind of hear what impacts rates and what alternative solutions are out there for their clients. So it's always good. Education's important. Education's important.
Education is important.
What are you seeing, Greg, numbers wise?
At all times. Well, we've got the monthly market update for April. Steven's probably going to bring that up. I don't know if he's going to do that now or after the fact. Here we go. It's right there. So I should know better. I should know better than to question that. So it's pretty interesting, right? And I was watching YouTube, a lot of YouTube videos this past week from different markets, different cities. And, the number of sales are down everywhere, but the price is up. So everyone's like, I've had people call me like, oh, the sales are down. It's happening now, bro. It's crashing. It's coming down. It's all over. Now, for a residential home in Ottawa, the average price you can see here is $829,000. Average 10 days on market. That's up. We talked about that last week on the show, which is bang on to what I had said. Number of sales down 23%. Condo sales up as well, 474,000. 10 days on market, which is down. That's interesting. There's probably some quick sales. Number of sales down 13%, 470. And that's Ottawa as a whole. So, I mean, what does that mean? It just means that some people are putting on the brakes, and there's way more inventory coming out. There's more inventory in Ottawa right now than there has been in the last 5 years at the same time. So, it's a massive shift.
Past 5
years, most inventory right now.
Wow.
That we've seen at this time. So, I mean, what's happening? It's balancing out. Could it shift into a buyer's market overnight? Maybe. I don't know if it'll happen super quickly like that, but it seems like all roads lead to that being sooner than later. There's more. It's like I was saying to you guys earlier. I go out with buyers now. You look at 7 homes. They don't like any of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that's happening right now. But in terms of the price is up. The list price to sales ratio is still up. Again, down a little bit more than it was even last week.
Now that would be a bit of a lagging indicator, though, right? Sale price. Like, I would imagine that if homes, if the average days on market goes up to say 20, and the listings increase again, and the percentage over asking decreases, like everything else shift kind of delayed, right? The sale price would be the last to move. But what do you think? What do you think is causing, like, why now are people listing all their homes? Obviously, COVID was the last 2 years, so there's probably a lot of people that didn't want people tramping through their homes and didn't want to deal with moving during COVID and so on. But what other indicators do you think, or what other factors would be in there that would cause it to be the highest in 5 years?
I think that's a big one, Paul. The people that have just been kind of waiting around to make a move are starting to put their homes on the market. I also think the classic Ottawa, I see the numbers going up now. They're really going up now. I'm going to list my house next week. And there's that too, right? Which of course causes it all to balance out. That's the biggest mistake a lot of sellers make. But I think overall there's that. I think the rates, people are afraid that the market's going to drop and that they're not going to get the same kind of values they would for their house anymore. I think there's a little bit of fear in that. But yeah, I mean, I honestly think the biggest factor is that a lot of people that wanted to sell over the last couple of years, like you said, are just deciding to do it now. And they're realizing also that there's more options for them. That's why I would be selling. If I was selling, I'd be selling because there's more that I can go see.
Mm-hmm. Like you were saying before last week, you're advising people to buy first, or to list first and then buy, because there's so much available on the market, right? Yeah.
I predict in the next couple of months, probably about 15 days on market, maybe 20 days on market for listings by the end of the year, potentially. Can't be sure. But,
I think that's great though, because we're getting more into a balanced market. Things will stabilize. We'll get prices start averaging out as opposed to that skyrocket, which is great. It's just getting more back into being able to get conditions, not having to rush through everything, but more strategically having to strategically list or strategically buy. If you're having to sell your home and put more thought into it, then it's just going to fly off the shelf on you.
Well, yeah, man. And that's the thing. Like, I have an amazing listing right now in Orleans, and it hasn't sold.
It's pretty
yet.
Gangbusters. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
And how could you not buy it? It's on Glenlivet. It's on Glenlivet. How could a Scotch drinker not get that? And
it's got a fountain. It looks like it's
Glenlivet fountain.
That's what it should be. But yeah, it's beautiful. And we listed it at market value. We've only had about six showings come through. I'm being totally transparent here. Why not? So we had about 6 showings. We had an open house on the weekend. On Saturday, there was only a few people through. I think a lot of open houses this weekend were the same because the sun had just come out and it was the first real weekend to be out doing stuff. But then again, it's a beautiful home, but it has a single car garage. Backyard has no direct facing neighbors, but it's a smaller backyard. But the property is it's stunning. And everybody that comes in, they're just like, wow, this is such a beautiful home. But for that price point, most of the people would like a double car garage. So it's a unique buyer.
It's interesting you say about price point. So there was we're going through on Friday on our development day. We had the area manager for one of the insurers, Canada Guarantee, and he was actually saying that in Ottawa, this is just in Ottawa, the number of homes sold in Ottawa, the percentage point, it was 20 to 22% of all homes in Ottawa have been over $1 million this year.
Yeah, for sure.
20%. And so he was getting into, like, he's on the insurer side, where, for those of you that don't know, in order to put less than 20% down, the highest your purchase price can be, not loan amount, your purchase price can be, is $999,999, $1 less than $1 million. That's the max your purchase price can be in order to put less than 20% down. So it's getting into, he was talking about that market for the insured space is shrinking, because not only in the markets like Vancouver and Ottawa, where most properties are not under $1 million, that 20 to 22% in Ottawa that are selling are over $1 million. So there's that insured market where you have to be putting down 20% or more, and that market's growing. So he was talking about how they're advocating and really pushing for changes to increase that, to $1.25 million, so that, those people can, whether it be first-time home buyers or whatever, when you've got the average price point in an area either exceeding that or close to it, it's restricting, whether it be families or, it sounds crazy of a first-time home buyer buying $1 million property. However, multi-generational, and if that's the average price point in a Toronto or in an Ottawa, and we're getting up to that threshold. We're at 830,000 right now, but and that's the average. So they're really pushing for that, a little bit, bumping that to 1.25, if you will, based on just these statistics of it pushing so many. There's just so many transactions at those numbers, which is really interesting. Another one that I thought was kind of, I'm looking back at my notes right now from last week, and that kind of on the idea of numbers, that 85% of submissions or deals that they did at Canada Guarantee, and they're one of the three insurers, 85% had people at credit scores over 725. So really strong credit. No issues there, things like that. And that average of they're seeing that market continuing to increase in the $1 million space and exceeding that on a regular basis. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and how the insurers also kind of align accordingly. Are you seeing that space? Like, obviously at this Glenlivet property, I would imagine the list price is at or over $1 million. Or well over.
We're at 960. We're at 960, and the reason is because the way, for example, 6 weeks ago probably would have been over $1 million. And when I met my sellers and we went in and started the conversation, I explained to them. I said, "This is what I think right now." I go, "But when we get on the market, I go, it's going to be a different ballgame." And they listened. They were very aware of what's happening. So it's been pretty easy to to navigate that and have the right conversations, but. One of the main reasons is because there was two that are listed just at $1 million. They've been on the market for almost 3 weeks now, haven't sold. Not as nice as this one, but they're 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, double car garage. So I was kind of like, hey, if these are sitting, then we got to be under that. We're still kind of like, priced, I think, competitively with all the bells and whistles that this has. But so I mean, it's so hard to say, because you still see those ones hitting high numbers. But I think, as usual, we talked about this before, when the market changes, the top and the bottom are the first ones to shift, and the middle kind of stays until a little bit later, but it's like the low budget condos, the town condos, they get hit first. Then the upper price point gets hit first, because people started being like, okay, well, maybe we don't need to spend that much money if it gets totally out of control. And the middle kind of just shifts in the end. Because I mean, the hot market is still towns, right? Like, I mean, on my street, there's like a bunch sold in the last 2 weeks, between 7 and 750. And last year they were capping at 675. So, when I saw that at 750, it's like, okay, that's a lot for a 2,300 square foot town end unit. It's a lot of money in Orleans.
Yeah. But it's that difference between, like, when you've got that $150,000, $200,000 difference between that town to a single family, it's more, it's well more attainable from a pricing standpoint. Speaking of condos, and to kind of pivot it, I know that somebody's asked a couple of times about a specific condo in general, the new Claridge in Hintonburg. It's right over the bridge at Somerset, where it's kind of about to turn into Hindenburg and turn into Wellington. I don't know if we want to bring that up, just where it's located. For those that are that are looking at it, it's by near the actually it's right over the bridge, over the O train line, getting into Hindenburg. And they were just asking about that development in general. It's under pre-construction. They've got the sales center up. There's a great site for those that are looking at condos or developments in general. Buzz Homes, and I don't know, Stephen, if you can bring up that link for this development in general. But when you go on, you can bring up the entire city, and it'll allow you to zoom in on any area and what has been approved or slated for development in that specific area. So going on there, and it'll tell you what the price points are and all that. It's a great site for those that have never been on it. So this is showing for that specific condo, fall, winter 2024, price points of 420 up to 1.3 million. It's got an average price per square foot of 853 is what it's showing. So I know the sales center's up. There's other than that, Hindenburg continues to be a really popular area and growing. Aside from that, there is some other condos and stuff developing along the O train line. Great area. But for those looking for specific information on any developments or condos, certainly I would employ you to check out that site. Just Google Buzz Homes, and you can just search Ottawa, and it'll bring up that direct link to them.
Yeah. So his question specifically was around that, but then he was also asking. He says, "Is there or will there be a push for condos since the rates are climbing? Townhouses are pushing people out of the game." And then he was kind of following that up with the Hindenburg question. So, with the way things are going, and Greg, you probably have a bit more privy to the numbers, but where do you see people when you're talking to them as far as looking for homes? Are people a little more open to the condo angle now, or are they still wanting that single family?
No, it's lifestyle. That's all it is. It's complete lifestyle. If you want a townhome and you can't buy it, you're going to move further out into a townhome or into a detached home for the same price as a townhome in Ottawa. You're going to go to Rockland. You're going to go, Munster, Richmond. Well, maybe not Munster. It's a little bit small right now, but it's growing. Richmond, you get out to Almont. Depends. I'm finding that more people are inclined to move out, especially people that are working from home. I know tons of people that have moved to Rockland. I'm working with people that are looking in Rockland right now. But in terms of switching from townhome to condo, that's no, because it's a completely different type of buyer. That's it. Yeah.
If somebody that's wanting space or wanting a small yard or they're going to be like moving further out, it's definitely a different, you're looking at a 2-bedroom max on a condo. So it's way different lifestyle.
I mean, if you're talking about someone who's looking at a townhome in the city, then maybe, that's a different market, but in general, no.
Yeah. Ottawa hasn't really adopted the condos the same way. Toronto is pretty much built stacked on condos on condos on condos, but it seems to you, like you said, it's definitely a lifestyle. And I feel like here people still expect to not have that confined space if they're buying a property for $700,000 or $800,000.
Ottawa's been predominantly a driving city because we've had no subway, we've had no proper quick transit. Obviously, the intention and the hope is that LRT, does fix that, and then once that's there and people can travel across the city and to the airport and whatnot, that condo, then condos become more desirable because you're not needing a car. Whereas right now, you get a condo, you still can't walk and grab public transit that easily to get anywhere efficiently. You're still having to drive, and that becomes an added expense or more of a challenge too.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
That's another interesting comment. Just thinking about that, like I was in Rockland the other day for a party and some friends, and the biggest conversation was, how now, like the ones that work in the city, the price of gas, you know, and these guys got trucks. They're just like, man, it's like, it's crazy. So, you know, maybe things will shift a bit in that. If it stays the same or goes up, it's hard to predict, like fuel prices ongoing. But I mean, after a year, somebody say in Rockland might want to come into the city to buy something due to the fuel price, if they're keeping track of everything, seeing what the difference is. I think that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I think $2 a liter isn't good for trucks.
and diesel's way up. So the guys, these guys got huge trucks. They got diesel because it was cheaper. Now diesel's through the roof, and they're just hating.
Yeah, it's like $300 to build their tank.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 3 bills. Yeah. Crazy. I just want to go back to Toronto for a second. I don't have the name of the building. I saw it the other day. We should try to find it for next week. But 76 stories, I think, being built for 2025, right across from the CN Tower. I think 2 towers. Crazy.
Have they started that already?
I think they're about to. I don't know. I saw a quick thing. I glanced at it and I figured I'd be able to find it easily. Can't find it. Anyways, should have saved it for Torep, boys. Didn't do that. wasn't thinking. Apparently,
it's Monday. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll forgive you.
Thank you. Well, we're not Toronto market anyways, right? We're the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. Why do I care about 76 stories in Toronto? I just think it's interesting.
So the one thing I will say on that, there we go. Is I was speaking to a builder,
Steven. There you go.
I was speaking to a developer that is right now. He's building 3 towers downtown Ottawa, and he's got a number of buildings in Vancouver and whatnot. And one interesting comment, because he's got a large story. I think he's in the 50 stories, 60 stories in Toronto right now. He's building one. And he was telling me that the amount of days you actually lose to weather, though, when you get up that high, he said it's crazy. He said, because as soon as you have any rain, wind, cool, like even just a breeze like that high up, it shuts your project down. So it takes so much longer to get your build done than shorter stories. And I thought that was interesting. I never considered it.
Never thought of that.
When you're up that high, any wind, it really kind of, it really moves things, and you can't have your workers on site. It needs to be like still, calm days.
Hence the Claridge icon.
Yeah.
Carling and Preston, right?
Yeah.
Probably had some weather issues.
But,
I don't know. Anything else to say? Or are we just mood boosting?
I think we just get into the mood boost.
Was that a good show? Are we giving people value? They like that.
I don't know if I spoke today. I'm just listening, just absorbing all the content.
Well, speak now. Mood boost.
I'm just here for the mood boost. Intro and mood boost. We were actually with one of the guys we were with for Derby Day was telling us, like, guys, he's like, I love listening to your show. He's like, but I really check out as soon as you guys start sliding into the mood boost. I'm out. I'm like, all right. we know our audience. All right. Number 1, I got 3 here. There's a fine line between a numerator and a denominator. That's the whole joke. That's
right. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. Math on a Monday. Number 2, the wedding was so beautiful, even the cake was in tears.
Oh, wow.
And last but not least, there's a new type of broom out. It's sweeping the nation.
I like it.
Oh, you didn't even get a smirk out of Greg on that one. He didn't even.
No.
He actually looked down in disgust.
Yeah, I'm looking down because I just realized that
it's like, wow, I'm wasting my time.
Because I have a mood boost. That's why I have a mood boost.
Oh, there we go.
I forgot about it until halfway through the thing. Did you hear about the new? Start over again. Wow, I can't even do one. I'm so nervous. It's my first time. Did you hear about the new movie Constipation? It hasn't come out yet.
Wow.
Getting filthy.
Wow.
Woo.
That's what we call a dirty joke. Awesome. Well, thanks for anyone who's still listening after After that session.
Oh my God.
Thanks to North Brew as well. I don't know why, but they keep sponsoring us as a coffee sponsor. If you go to northbrew.ca and use the promo code podcast, they will give you 20% off your coffee order. Every coffee order. Shout outs to Referral Mortgages. Shout outs to the agency. Shout outs to Stephen Hopkins Video. And thank you to all of our listeners. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, review, comment, unsubscribe, whatever you need to do. But thank you either way. See you guys next week.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.